are founded. Tales of money, power, and kinship inevitably entail drama and passion, especially with the passage of generations. As wealth grows, so do the opportunities for disagreement. Consider here the Gucci clan. The patriarch Guccio Gucci, 1881 to 1953, was the son of an Italian leather craftsman. As a young man, he traveled to Paris and then London, where he kept his eyes open and caught on to the commercial advantages of fine workmanship and fashionable elegance. In particular, he noted the customer's hunger for the kind of luggage that announced its owner's taste and status. So when he went back home in 1920, he borrowed money and opened a shop to sell such leather goods, meeting with tremendous success. In subsequent decades, his sons continued his work, opening branches in Italy and then abroad. Guccio held the enterprise together, but after his death, his children and grandchildren engaged in protracted and costly disputes that made the fortunes of some of Italy's busiest lawyers. The virulence and vindictiveness that characterize these quarrels are an embarrassment to the Gucci family and to Italian culture. Acrimony peaked when the divorced wife of Guccio's grandchild, Maurizio, got angry enough to contemplate murder. She mentioned offhandedly to her housekeeper that she would love to be rid of her ex-husband. To the right person, that kind of careless remark was a business opportunity waiting for action, and the housekeeper was the right person. Soon thereafter, some hitmen gunned Maurizio down on the steps of his office and then tried to blackmail his former wife. So much for the Maurizio branch of the family. The Gucci firm and name ended up in alien corporate hands, and the wife ended up behind bars on the bad end of a 26-year sentence. These are just brief examples from an enormous body of case studies of family business achievement, from mom-and-pop shops and local gas stations to monuments of market renown. As compelling and informative as such studies are, today's prevalent economic thinking has chosen to ignore the family firm as a subject of serious study, and has all but written it off as obsolete and inconsequential. I believe that this view is both wrong and dangerously misleading. Wrong because statistics show us that the great majority of the world's enterprises today are family firms. In the European Union, family firms make up 60 to 90% of businesses, depending on the country, and they account for 2/3 of GNP and jobs. In the United States, in the mid-1990s, more than 90% of firms were family units, accounting for more than half the country's goods and services. Further, 1/3 of the Fortune 500, the country's 500 largest firms, were said to be family-controlled or to have founding families involved in management. What's more, these family firms tended to be the best performers, far outpacing on average their managerial, non-family competitors. Dangerously misleading because the nations of the developing world, particularly those most desperate for economic development, urgently need family enterprise. Their cultural, political, and economic circumstances are not mature enough for managerial business structures. In these places, Africa, the Arab Middle East, much of South Asia, much of South America, family firms are the best hope for successful development. Businesses in these regions need the trust and training that family makes possible, and the resources that family can mobilize. Failure to understand the nature and dynamics of family-based private capitalism would severely handicap economists and policymakers alike. Still, the current economic orthodoxy sees family enterprise as inappropriate, ineffective, and essentially finished as a major economic engine, favoring instead corporate or joint stock managerial models. Alfred D. Chandler, Jr., who stresses several factors in today's business world that argue for managerial structures, has best expounded these views. First, he says, as companies grow, the increases in both production and distribution create problems that can be solved.